This computer. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Punchout Bin. I am your host, Lucian Daldell, along with my esteemed co-host and expert hair net wearer.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Coming to you live from the bike repair shop on the third floor.
Yes, sir.
I'm coming to you from the yarn capital of Philadelphia.
Come on.
And today I figured we'd talk a little bit about the Isley Brothers. Only because they happened to come up in my Spotify playlist this week, and it kind of shook me to my core. Will,
yeah.
How about you?
I mean, the Isley Brothers is one of those things that you listen to a lot, and I haven't for the last couple of years because I've been on the earth for 47 years. So
Sure.
The last couple of years have not been Isley Brothers time.
You've heard about it. You've heard that all before.
Right.
Sure.
But you just played this for me, and it was like, it's just you remember the picnicness of it all. Like they are one of those groups that are the background of your life growing up. It was
So
that voice.
So we just listened to both Fight the Power and a little bit of Make Me Say It Again, Girl. Those links will be in the, you check out the Spotify link for the playlist as for every week. You can check out the songs that we've been talking about on the podcast in the description below. Like YouTubers point down here. So
right, down there.
So both of those tunes were from the Heat Is On record, which came out in 1975. Will, how old were you?
2. I was 2.
Will was 2. I was -9.
That was a good year for you.
It was a fantastic year. Just, meet up with all my homies.
Exactly.
Waiting to see who's going to come off the bench.
Anyway, right.
I don't know where this is going.
That kept going really bad, really fast.
Really close and to reshoot this intro territory. So, I sort of came to the Isley Brothers as most old millennials did, like sort of on the back end of things, where Ron Isley, aka Mr. Big, aka the dude from Trapped in the Closet that wasn't R. Kelly, doing like stuff with him and Ernie, the guitar player, and it was just kind of the two of them. It wasn't like the full Isley
Brothers swing,
Isley Brothers experience. And what I've sort of found in sort of backtracking through their catalog, and what has continued to not only impress me, but I think kind of reshape my thinking of them, is just like how adventurous and how like funky they were, right? Because like the Ron Isley thing that he's sort of known for now is that sort of falsetto crooner, like ultra smooth OG thing, right? And this like early Isley stuff is like scrunch your face up, as funky as it gets. Like we're listening to that Fight the Power, and there's like all this kind of like wah guitars and wah clav and like funky dominant chords and like all the stuff that just makes your shoulders kind of bounce like this.
Sure.
And it's such a departure from how I came to know Ron Isley as a character on the music scene.
Sure.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, yeah, man. It's like, the Isley Brothers. I mean, I got hip to the Isley Brothers at first with their early Isley Jasper Isley records. But so, 1975, I was 2. I wasn't hip to any real, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I'd gone back at, several years ago and listened to that stuff, but I got hip to them in the 80s, But when you listen to that early stuff, it's not the Ron Isley that we know. You know what I mean? Because even in the 80s, it was the crooner. It was the pretty voice. It was the, that real, tender tenor.
Tender. It's such a great word for it.
You know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's like it's caressing.
Yeah.
But I mean, that Fight the Power record sounds like it came straight out of Sly Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Straight out of Sly Stone. Like, that was one of those bands that was like, oh, y'all want to do this? Got you. I'll take the ball now. And it was like, and the way he was singing was like his ad libs and his expressions were just, it's like he was expressing himself in a way that was like ugly.
Yeah.
It's like it's foul and it's nasty and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
what also caught me like on my third or fourth listen through this was the lyrics in there.
Yeah.
Like really funky lyrics in there. Let me see what I'm looking them up now. Let me see. So here's a little bit of it up front. 1989, Another Summer, Get Down, Sound of the Funky. Music hitting your heart because I know you got soul.
That's soul, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Ron Isley. That's the Isley Brothers.
Yeah.
No.
Listen, if you're missing y'all, swing it. Give him what you're getting, knowing what I know. While the
black man sweating.
While the black band's sweating.
Right.
The rhythm rhymes rolling. Got to give us what we want. Got to give us what we need. Our freedom of speech is freedom or death. We got to fight the
power that be. Yeah. What could you say?
Okay, cool.
You're right. Oh, yeah, that's Public Enemy.
Totally Public Enemy.
Totally.
But let me see. Isley Brothers, Fight the Power. Time's truly a waste and there's no guarantee. Smiles in the making. You got to fight the powers that be. Got so many forces staying on the scene, giving up all around me. Faces full of pain. I can't play my music. They say my music's too loud. I keep talking about it. I got the big runaround. When I rolled with the punches, I got knocked on the ground.
Ugh.
With all the BS going down. There's no guarantee. Smiles in the making. You got to fight the powers that be.
It's the same record.
Totally the same record.
It's the same record.
It's totally the same record.
It's like, and it makes you realize when you put the lyrics side by side like that, it's like there is nothing new under the sun. And the struggle still continues.
It's true.
And the cats that are talking about it are talking about it aggressively and letting people know, like, you're not alone. And that's what those records are about. It's not about, like, being rah-rah, pro-black. It's about you're not alone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm with you.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up that topic. If we veer off the path for a second, you and I have talked pretty extensively offline about this idea of specifically like in Christian music, there's sort of like these two divergent paths. There's sort of like white Christian music,
sure,
black Christian music, or gospel. And like in a lot of instances, the sort of whiter track, if I can go that way with it, tends to be more of a vertical connection between, God is so great. It's very much like a worshipful posture, right?
Right.
God, you are awesome.
Right.
All that entails.
Sure.
Which is great. Those songs should exist, and because God is awesome, I believe that.
Right.
But then, like the black side of it is kind of a different thing, right? A lot of the lyrics are more inspirational and more about what is happening
right now.
Yeah. Hold on just a little while longer.
Yeah.
like
or
that.
I need you now.
Right. Well, I mean, and even into today, like I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. It's like you have this other sort of level of encouragement and inspiration that continues to draw people to God, and like that connection still exists, but it's sort of in a different space,
Yes.
you know. And what I find very interesting is people from one side don't necessarily agree that people on the other side, their experience is really what worship music is.
I mean, it's so interesting because it's a microcosm of everything. Because people from one side don't believe the experiences of people from the other side. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's like you're talking. It's like it's entertainment as far as they're concerned. When like this Isley record, those Sly records that this is our experience. This is what we're living every single day. And they're like, no, that can't. And no one says it anymore, but that can't really be real. And that can't be how you live your life. It's like, nah, bro, that's my life.
I think here we are coming up on the winter of 20, coming into 21. I think people are saying that. I feel
I
like
agree.
over the past few months of a coronavirus infused racial reckoning, there is a lot of that conversation about this can't be what this experience is, or in the better part of our humanity, people are like, oh man, I didn't realize that this
Right.
experience is, or I didn't realize that your experience is still this way.
Right. I thought it was history.
Right, even though I thought we dealt with that in the 60s.
Right, right. Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's really interesting the way that music, as in with a lot of other art forms, they really reflect both the times and the culture,
Absolutely.
regardless of what is going on.
It's real. It's real, man. It's you. I mean, it's like in records like this, you can taste it.
Yeah.
And you can taste it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a rare thing. Like these records, especially records of the late 60s, early 70s, where cats were mad.
Yeah.
It's like it's like I know that taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
I know that feeling tactily and viscerally. And I'm not, and it's shocking because they were feeling it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. So it makes you also realize, and I'm sure I'm being redundant, but bear with me. It's that they were feeling it then, and that what we're feeling is not new, and it's re-enraging. Mm-hmm. Actually, you know what I mean? It's like y'all ain't got this shit right yet. You know what I mean? It's like really a dark kind of thing. But again, to go back to one of the conversations we had before on here, that art makes it okay. Makes it okay to feel what you're feeling because you're not alone anymore. In the moment you drop that needle on the record, it's like, I'm not by myself and I'm not crazy.
Yeah. On the flip side of that Isley coin,
okay.
So we listened to Fight the Power. We've kind of talked about that. As we were sort of prepping to start taping today, I opened up my mic, and Make Me Say It Again Girl was playing. And we sort of went from this ultra funky, ultra just gut belly kind of garage band riff based thing to this just lush bed.
Ugh.
On top of which Ron Isley is just floating in the clouds.
My goodness.
Sort of had this visceral reaction when my mic opened and you were just like instantly thrown into that experience.
Sure. It was crazy.
What were you thinking about? Like, where did you go?
Man, it's the same thing. It's like First of all, there's nothing in the world as gratifying as a love song. It's a real love song.
Go on.
You know what I mean? It's like there's a and people don't really write these songs anymore. You know what I mean? In the pop world. But there's just something magical about a love song that just takes me back anyway. Not back. It takes me inward to a place of contemplation, into a place of realizing that these emotions are human. You know what I mean? Because love songs, man, it's particularly men singing love songs.
Yeah.
They are so vulnerable.
Mm.
They are so vulnerable. Like Teddy Pendergrass singing a love song. It's what makes it such an amazing experience, because here's this big manly man and he's turn off the lights. It's like, wait a minute. You're not gonna punch.
He's like vulnerable until the second verse where he's like, turn him off.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And you're like, oh, my bad. You know?
Right. Because it's like, all right, where's the lights? Where's the lights? But you get what I'm saying? It's like there's something about an entity that is one way.
Yeah.
Becoming the exact opposite.
Mm.
Because Ron Isley back then
Yeah.
was a gangster as far as we were concerned.
Sure.
He would take your head off.
Sure.
And then he got into that sweet world, and it's more beautiful that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's more, it feels more authentic. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's and that authenticity, first of all, is lost today in music. I think maybe because I don't listen to a whole lot of new music, so that's a fair, suggestion, and I'll take that as a possibility. But when you hear him speaking to his love like his love, or when you hear Eddie Levert singing to his dog. Do you know about that song? One of his most famous tunes is to his dog. And it's like, what? Where's the strong and mighty man? But what we don't understand is he's in there. And what makes him strong and what makes him, unstoppable is that he can go there, sincerely and truthfully go there. And when he does, it makes me want to weep.
Oh, Brandy's.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll make sure to put that on the playlist for this week.
Dude, that's so, when you realize it's about his dog, like I was in puddles for days. Because his dog died.
Yeah.
And we've all had that experience.
Sure.
And it's like, and he's opening himself up on a record that the entire world is going to hear. He's crying on a record. And it's like, it's like I said, it's a real juxtaposition. But it's what makes that strong entity stronger.
Yeah.
Maybe, I think so,
Yeah. That's interesting. What you brought up the idea of vulnerability. Are there any other sort of artists that come to mind that really exemplify that in your mind? I know
Man.
spot, but
I'll take it. I mean, all of them in the 70s, particularly.
Yeah.
These big, strong went here. I can't even think. Let me think. Ron Isley, Teddy Pendergrass. I was on the road to Stylistics.
Yeah.
So I know firsthand these men are men in the traditional sense of man.
Sure. Yeah.
And when that man,
I've had run-ins with them as an engineer.
Yeah.
They've been on stages that I've been mixing on. So I definitely know the vibe for sure.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Bet You By Golly Wow. And you were just drinking with this dude, playing pool and hanging out the night before into the night, and talking about stuff that men talk about.
Yeah.
He gets on that stage. There's a spark of magic in your eyes. And it's like that's what women flipped about. That's what it was.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It was not like he was singing pretty. It was like, I'm looking at you and I know you're a dog. You're a monster. I mean, I'm being ridiculous. I'm being over the top, but you get my point. Yeah. But when you shrink yourself, supposedly, what you're actually doing is growing yourself.
Mm.
And to grow is super attractive. Right? Yeah. It's like, whoa, he's really got big. Really, really big.
Yeah.
Because have you seen her?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, have you seen her? You know what I mean? That man on that record, that Chalice record, is crying. The whole record. And it feels like, and before this moment, I never knew why that record made me. It's because he's a man. And then he just got, I see her face everywhere I go, on the street and even at the picture show. Have you seen her? Like, he's begging.
Yeah.
That's a man. That's a man. Oh. Yeah. It's discovery, it's real discovery right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
fascinating. So moving right along, the other thing I wanted to sort of pick up on our conversation from the last, we talked a lot about musical heroes and guilty pleasures.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked sort of like on a larger sense about who our heroes are.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be curious to zoom into that a little bit about who were heroes on your instrument, or who inspired you on your instrument. And you can answer that in any number of ways, because as I recall, you have a saxophone background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went to college for saxophone. Yeah, all that.
Now you're a ridiculous keyboard player, and you've got the vocal thing going on.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, theremin, is that right?
No, I've never seen a theremin.
I've never seen a theremin. That's my favorite part.
Like, I don't even know what that looks like.
All right there. Okay, you have here, sir.
All right, so heroes.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, I played the saxophone because it was available. 4th grade, they were like, you want to play this? I was like, sure. You know what I mean? It was like the 4th instrument I picked up. You know what I mean?
Amazing how many careers start like that.
Yeah.
Just out of like crazy, just whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you about Nate Watts after you finish this.
Okay. So, and being the studious musician that I've always been, because I picked up the saxophone, I loved John Coltrane. I loved Charlie Parker, all the usual players, Cannonball Adderley, Dexter Gordon, you know, and but it's I never really. I mean, I learned a bunch of their solos, and you know, I read out of the Omni book, and that's how I shed and blah 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 blah. But I never really connected with them as individuals. You know what I mean? As musicians, as artists. You know what I mean? Not saying that they weren't, because they were consummate artists and amazing artists, but it just wasn't my. It wasn't. It didn't click with me. The first person that clicked with me was Oscar Peterson. Oscar Peterson, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what nobody plays ever, anywhere. When he plays, that's swing. Period. Like, if it don't sound like that, it's not swinging. I don't care if you're Keith Jarrett. I don't care if you're Herbie Hancock. If it's not Oscar Peterson style, it's not swinging. It's just not. You know what I mean?
It swing pretty hard.
Yeah, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he swung hard, and he was a piano player.
Yes.
Like an official piano player. Yeah. He's a monster.
Yeah, he could put the IST at the end. Yeah.
Completely. Completely.
Yeah.
You know, and my dad had those records, you know, all my life before I was even playing piano. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I was listening to. So when I picked up piano, like for real, like my first real piano stuff was in college. And that's what I imitated.
Yeah.
You have feel. No, I listened to Oscar Peterson all my life. So I'm going to play this blues scale like Oscar. But you know what I mean? That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And that's where we start. So even when I play funk music now, that's what it feels like. You know what I mean?
I do. I've played.
Yes, you have.
Like,
and
I sounded like Oscar Peterson all the time.
He's playing Rose and it's Oscar. Wait, I don't
understand. Okay.
But Oscar was my first real musical hero.
Now, is there like, as we talk about this right now, is there a particular tune that we should check out?
Have You Met Miss Jones?
There we go. It'll be on.
Yeah, yeah, check that out.
Is that solo? Or is that like the trio?
It's trio. It's
like
Ray Brown and
Ed Thigpen?
No, White Cat.
Okay.
I forget his name now.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's haunting. It's the most haunting. But then, but see, that led me to Wynton Kelly.
Sure.
Wynton Kelly. Whoa.
Sure.
That solo he plays on the beginning of Freddie Freedom. But then that's
yeah.
I mean, it's country swing.
If you look up swag in the dictionary,
that's it.
It's right there.
It's it.
Yeah.
And that led me to
.com.
Yeah.
That is the multimedia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then Bobby Timmons.
Yep.
It's like the real. It's funny because it's the late 60s, early 70s, most late 60s, guys that were listening to Sly Stone, guys that were thinking about, you know, the music as it was evolving, and were part of the music evolution into the new funk era, into the new, you know what I mean? Like those guys really move me because they feel so good when they play.
Yeah.
Right? Now, vocally, my heroes are women.
Go on. Tell us more.
Like, my favorite singer of all time, even though Aretha's better, and she's spectacular, even though, you know, Minnie Riperton has that beautiful falsetto, blah, 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 my favorite singer of all time is Natalie Cole.
I'm
Natalie Cole. Huh?
learning new things today.
Yeah, Natalie Cole is so gangster
Why?
because first of all, she's royalty, right? She's a pedigreed member of the game. God rest her soul. And you don't even get down like that. But she's a pedigreed member of the game. But when she dropped that, this will be
Oh,
our love.
yeah,
I'm catching hell.
yeah.
She is a soul singer at her core with all that training
Sure.
and all that understanding. And the training may just be, I've been sitting up under my dad for all these years, which is spectacular training.
It's not a bad way to go to school.
Absolutely not. But the way she delivers a tune, it walked all the way through her career. It never changed because her father was the master of the melody.
Not Cole.
He was the dude.
Like people don't like people kind of sleep on him. Yeah, like
They really do.
okay, fine. Like Christmas song, Chestnut.
They don't even know.
But like you go back and like look at some of that weird like black and white footage. He was really kind of virtuosic.
He was not kind of. He was an absolute virtuoso. He just was.
Like incredible singer,
Incredible piano player.
incredible storyteller.
Absolutely.
Piano playing was off the charts. And then, he just made it look so
effortless. And that's what Natalie got, I think. Now I'm speaking out of turn, so keep that in mind. But what she got from him was, this is supposed to look easy. This is supposed to be not even a thing. Have you ever seen her performance of This Will Be an Everlasting Love on a midnight special?
I don't know that I have.
Okay, find it if you can.
Okay.
Because it's her, two background singers who are amazing singers.
Yeah.
A band, a guitar player, a bass player, an organist, a Rhodes player, and drums. And you know how big and arranged that tune is?
Yes.
And how many vocals are in that joint?
Yes.
She went 1, 2, 3, 4, go. And it's just, and first of all, what you don't realize is that's a swing tune. It just is. You know what I mean? It's tang, 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 tang. So there's that, right? But then it's like, no, you're gonna cover everything. So the organ player is playing everything, right? But it's so natural. Sure. So this is just what, you know what I mean? And always had spectacular piano players. So the piano player was playing the Rhodes was killing it. Yes. And the feel and the truth and the bass player. But through all of that, she stood in front of the bandstand and sang that tune in a way that made it look absolutely effortless. Like in a way it was like, wait, you didn't even miss it.
Yeah.
You didn't even miss it.
Yeah.
From now on.
You don't even know.
From now on. Just full out, I'm just singing it. It was like, and she's probably 20, 21. You know what I mean? She's a baby.
Yeah.
And she's burning that tune. And then, miss you like crazy, miss you like crazy. I mean, it's the same exact thing. It's effortless.
Yeah.
And have you ever heard I'm Catching Hell? Of course you have.
Mm-hmm.
That the point is, she is my favorite singer of all time.
It's interesting.
And you know, women and female singers in particular, like Frida Payne, one hit wonder Frida Payne. You know what I mean? The now that you're gone, all that's left is a band. That record to me, she should have been a megastar. A megastar, because that record is bananas.
Love that tune.
Oh, it's you can't. And then of course all the Aretha Franklin stuff, like To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, you know, daydreaming, and I'm thinking of you. Like it's.
Here's the one for me. Here's the one for me. Here's the Aretha thing for me. Okay. Ain't No Way.
Whoa, whoa.
Here's the thing. Let me tell you my Ain't No Way story, right? So I remember being a young student in jazz school.
Mm-hmm.
And we took this, I had to take this history of pop course, and we had to write like these CD reviews.
Sure.
Like NPR style, like very like wording.
Yes.
How incredible or how terrible a CD was.
College.
You know, like back in the day, you know, you went to like the listening library,
mm-hmm.
put the CD in, headphones on, and I'm listening to this like, you know, it's like it's like a greatest hits Aretha record. I don't know, there's
sure.
like 30 billion of them.
Right.
And Ain't No Way came on, and just like the way it was so big in the headphones.
Right.
You know, I mean, she's just like right down the middle,
yeah.
Just bawling her eyes out to you. You know, her sister's in the corner with that. Actually,
right.
I read that was like Sissy Houston.
Sheesh. I'm not surprised. Yeah.
His mom is doing that octave thing.
Right.
And then there's like a part in that where the horns are doing this like sort of descending line, and
mm-hmm.
then split out, and the baritone goes,
oh, right.
And like that is like one of two times where I described this feeling of like my entire being just melted.
Yes.
And it happens every time, right?
Yeah.
The other place where that happens is in D'Angelo Voodoo, on the chicken grease.
Ooh.
Right? Ding, ding, gang, ding, gang, right?
Yep.
In there, there's a place where the vocals kind of do that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just kind of, you know,
disintegrate out to,
like you just get like a chill up your back.
Sure.
That same experience.
Yeah, man. Yes.
It's a great record, man. Is
unbelievable. It's beautiful.
Go ahead.
No, it's and another Aretha thing, and again, female singers. I used to think, because this is one record that never came across my thing. Giving him something he can feel. You know, it's a pretty little record. You know, I never thought anything of it. Oh, it's a cute little record.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Until one day I was on YouTube doing my little rabbit hole thing, and this record comes up. I'm like, huh. I heard what that song was supposed to be. And I'm mad at them for covering it. Because they can't cover it. I'm mad at them. Because giving him something he can feel. It's not supposed to be like that.
Sure.
It's supposed to be grimy and gritty and woman and human and animal. I mean, that's what the record is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like like when I heard that record, I was like, oh. you kind of get embarrassed for the people that covered it. Because it's like, Mm-mm. And you know, older people would hear when I was younger. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They were like, "Oh yes, that's nice. That's that." You know, and I was like, "What do you mean it's a nice record?" And now I'm thinking of their faces whenever I'm like, "Oh, that's because you heard." Oh, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's what it's supposed to be. So I say that to say, female singers from that era, they drive my intent
Yeah.
when I sing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't sing as well as any of them by any means, but my intent and my intensity comes out of that tradition. You know what I mean?
Right.
Women who had just left the civil rights movement were fed up with these people that were driving them crazy. Were fed up with men that were driving them crazy, and they had this thing about them that was pure human in a way that's hard to describe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's I try to be that. So.
Well, you heard it here folks.
I
I don't know what I just said, but it was,
don't either.
man, for me. So I started on trombone. That was my first real instrument after plastic recorder.
Yeah.
Although I came back to recorder in high school only to find out that it was very much a very real and
Yeah.
instrument.
Sure.
So whatever. I started on trombone, and J.J. Johnson was right up there for me.
Absolutely.
We talked about that before. But then when I moved to drums, man, I sort of going back to what you said about like clicking with somebody.
Sure.
Art Blakey, instantly. It was, I heard Moanin' for the first time.
Oh.
Blues March or
Ooh.
Mosaic or Crisis, like
Right.
stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, okay, this is what my drums are supposed to sound like too.
Right. Exactly. Like I get it now.
Like there was other stuff that I got into later, like there's all the cool stuff like Philly Joe and all that kind of stuff.
Right. All the post bop stuff.
But there's just like something about the sort of grittiness, the humanness that you speak about,
Absolutely.
that art brings to a thing. I remember somebody talking about like being on the bandstand with him, and he got up to play just time. People just like would shut up and listen.
Yeah.
He's just playing a shuffle, and people are like, okay, cool. This is what we doing right now.
This is what we pay for. Let's do this right now.
Oh, look, it's the roadmap. Okay, great.
Exactly.
So I mean, instantly, like Art Blakey has always been at the top of my list of like just powerhouse, powerhouse dudes, man. As a bass player, Pinot is the guy.
Yeah.
Pinot plays on the Voodoo record and all of D'Angelo's stuff and like kind of everything else, right?
Yes.
The Who, John Mayer trio, like the dude is just like all over the place. Right?
Sure.
He comes directly out of, the Jamerson school.
Yes.
James Jamerson, famously one of the Funk brothers that played on like literally every Motown record you ever heard.
Yeah.
And Pinot is like the evolution of that.
Wow.
And just like the way that he interacts with the beat, the way that he locks into what's happening with the drums or plays around it.
Sure.
Where he puts space, where he chooses to fill, like that is just the way that I hear the instrument. There are other great guys, like other like bass heroes, and I've had fortune to be able to be around a lot of incredible bass players.
Yes, you have.
Gerald Veasley not being the least of them, for sure.
Right.
Teal Burbridge, Victor Wooten, Victor Bailey. There's like so many killing dudes.
Absolutely.
Willis. But there's just something about the way that Pino approaches a thing that's like, I'm good.
That's right there.
I'll take that, please.
Yeah, definitely.
That on the cart.
Right.
And then there's some other guys that I really love now, like Keith Carlock is incredible, incredible drummer. Like I love cats that that expression where it's like, you drive the Ferrari to go to the drugstore, like that.
Right. Right.
Cats like that have just ridiculous amount of information that they can pull from.
Yes.
But then they only let you see a little piece of it.
Right. Right.
A very proper moment.
Yep. Like right when it's like, oh, you got that in your bag?
Right. Right. It's like those cats that are like, they have all the fireworks you could ever want.
Right.
But all you really need is to light this one torch.
Right. That's all you can. Yeah.
And like, we call that in the business, we call that like being tasty. Like you've got all these tasty licks, this slick stuff. But when the time comes, like you can just put it where it needs to be.
Exactly.
And I think, for so many of these records that we talk about and so much of this experience that we talk about, that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
It's about the feeling, like the overall sum of the parts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Being this piece of art.
Yes.
What it takes to do that is to have the ego and the mindset that the piece of art is more important than me showing you what I can do.
Right.
And that is sort of the way that I've approached music in my adult life.
Sure.
Because it takes like a long time to get to a place where you can be okay with like, okay, I don't have to show you all my stuff.
Right. Or any of my stuff.
I just have to make this sound as good as we can make it together.
Exactly. It's funny, man, because you start talking about bass players, and my biggest heroes are bass players.
Sure.
But not, well, some of them are famous, but people I know.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
thank you, man.
Say again?
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Well, but it's like, you're one of them.
I know.
And I'm not even kidding. But then, like, Charlie, Terry, Carle, obviously Gerald, Will Gaines, and Marion's band, like Chip Sharon, like these guys are less famous, but they're the same caliber of cat that was playing on the Motown records. They were playing on those records in the 70s, that all these records that we're talking about that we love. Because, I mean, Doug Grigsby played on a lot, all those cats are mind-blowing because they put it where it has to be. Yeah. Not thinking about themselves, but it's like bass players raised me as far as my birth as a musician.
Yeah.
Like I have followed y'all around like a puppy for 25 years. You know what I mean? And it's amazing to me, just the bass player thing. It's like I try to be a bass player in my left hand.
It is a thing, man.
It really is.
Like people ask me, like as I was doing a lot of swinging between playing drums and like jazz gigs and playing bass in these like pop and R&B gigs, and people would say, well, which do you like to play more? And I'm like, I kind of like bass more.
Sure.
Because you have as much control over the feel and the groove that a drummer would, but you also inform what happens harmonically and melodically.
Absolutely.
So it's really like, in a way, the most powerful chair in the band.
In the world.
You know what I mean?
I don't care what, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is. Like a bass player can change. I did a gig for 15 years. We went around the world. The bass player was spectacular. That I got in the band with at first. He was spectacular.
Yeah.
In the last 5 or 6 years, got a younger guy who was a phenom. He got his hand on that music, and it was a whole new gig, just because of the way he approached it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It just breathed new life into it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It made me a different player. It made the drummer a different player. It made the lead a different player. You know what I mean? It's a whole different thing. You know, one, it has to do with the identity of the person. You know, a person makes someone, you know, if you're diligent about your art and you're cool and you're personable and you're responsible, blah, blah, blah. But then if you're just creative and interesting as a musician, all of a sudden beauty happens new when you're in that chair.
Yeah.
Because grooves change and everything changes.
It's true. It's true.
Everything.
All of a sudden you've got to completely reinterpret where the melody falls.
Completely.
Yeah.
And you have to get out of your own way at that point. Because when you're used to playing something the same way for 10, 15 years.
Got all the muscle memory built in.
Exactly. And then someone throws something else at you, you got to go, oh, okay, what is this?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you're creative again. And you're creating again. And when you're creating again, you feel alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So it takes a bass player of that caliber to go, no, let's try this now. And you have to try this because the bass player is of that caliber.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So.
Well, I think that's a great place to leave it.
Fair enough.
Bass players rule the world. You heard it here first. Get it twisted. Guys, thank you all for listening. Please make sure you check out all the tunes we talked about in the Spotify playlist, and we'll see you the next time we go check out the Punchout bin.